This video is for law of sines and law of cosines. Sometimes called the sine rule, cosine rule. Reviewing just both of them. We did a few in class. This gives you some more practice, help how to finish them up. My focus here. Sorry, projector here is having a little struggle. So this is number 6 on the worksheet. So make a triangle. It's always good to have a visual. Angle S is 150, and I'm going to change that and call it A. Keep the letters standardized. Angle R, so if we have, instead of STR, I'm going to have ABC. So angle R would be 20.9, and that means this is B, and T is 15. So T is the same as the lowercase b. So little a opposite big A, little c opposite big C. So look at what you know, and some of you figured out this side is the law of sines, but the way you know you can use the sine rule is if you know a side and the angle across from it. So I'm going to find the rest of this angle. So this angle, the triangles have 180. If you subtract the 150 and the 20.9, 9.1. So my diagram is not to scale, but it's okay. So what these said, solve each triangle or the directions. That means find the other angles in the other sides. You can't use Pythagorean theorem because it's not a right triangle. So set my equation up. 15 over the sine of 9.1 equals A over the sine of 150. And if you get used to this, you can keep this as STR. I'm just trying to help people that are just getting used to it the first time. C over the sine of 20.9. And you can solve it on your calculator. Cross multiplying, you have to use this one for both. So I'm going to take 15 times the sine of 150. I hit enter, divided by the sine of 9.1, and that's 47.4. So A is 47.4. And do the same thing with the other equation. So 15 times the sine of 20.9 divided by the sine of 9.1. That'd be 33.8. And so if you put it back on your picture, the biggest side should be opposite the biggest angle, and in that order. So small, medium, large goes along with the angles. And you can't use Pythagorean theorem to check. You can just go back and double check that way. So if you get comfortable on law of sines, which probably you do, you don't need to change all these to ABC. It's okay if you leave them as they are. Okay, cosine rule on the back of your paper, which these are not quite as easy to recognize. So they call this one triangle ACB, which is good. Make a picture. Angle C is 104. So right now you know my picture is not to scale, but I'm not worried about that. A, little a is 23, and B is 24. And we need to find all of, so what I have here is a side, an angle, and a side. And so the main thing you just need to check for is, do I know a side and the angle across from it? In this case, I don't. So I know I can't use sine rule, so I'm going to use cosine rule. So figure out what goes best. Cosine rule, a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine a. That's the base value there. Well, in this case, I have C. I know what angle C is. I know angle C is 104. So I want this to be a C. And so if this is C, then I can rewrite this. C squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine c. So you just rewrite the formula. This is always the other two letters, whatever's missing. These two letters repeat with these two letters. So you look for that pattern. Some people like to just have it written 3 times so that they know. And then I just plug in what I know. C squared equals 23 squared plus 24 squared minus 2 times 23 times 24 times the cosine of 104. So it's quite a string there, but you have a calculator. You're not expected to simplify that all by hand. So 23 squared plus 24 squared minus 2 times 23 times 24 times cosine 104. So 1372, and that is my c squared, so take the square root to get c. And when you do square root, whatever you had there last is stored under ands. So the square root of your answer, 37.04. So just 37.0 if you're rounding 3 sig figs. And that is the length of a side, because that's a lowercase c, so that's meters. As soon as you do law of cosine or cosine rule once, put the thing on your picture and finish the problem using sine rule. So 37 over the sine of 104 equals 23 over the sine of A, and now I can find angle A. You can do cosine rule again, but so I have 23 times the sine of 104 divided by 37, and so that's my decimal value. I need to do second sine because I'm finding the angle of my answer. So 37.1 degrees. So A is 37.1. We already have AB. Now you can find C by subtracting from 180. So that the cosine rule is a little more extensive. I'm going to make a different video so we don't run out of memory here.